The thick, blinding, choking smoke is rolling through these hallways and into rooms. You've got to get out alive. And in order to do that, you need to buy time.
And there are two facts you must know in order to buy time. The biggest mistake that you can possibly make when a fire breaks out is to think that you have time. But time in a fire really works against you. You have no time. And most people who die in fires die in the very first 5 minutes. They are trapped because they wasted time. There are two things that can help you buy time in a fire, and knowing them could save your life. If you have a fire extinguisher, how much time should you spend in fighting a fire? Rule 1 is simple. You have 30 seconds to put out the fire if you're right there when it starts with a fire extinguisher in hand. That's all the time you have. So, if you're watching television and smoke and flames suddenly break out, you have 30 seconds to grab a fire extinguisher and put the fire out. If you can't control it in 30 seconds, get out. This fire could get out of control in seconds and you're trapped. But never waste time looking for a fire that's already underway in some other part of the house. Use what little time is left to you. Get you and your family out alive as quickly as possible and call for help.
And last, have an escape plan. Now that sounds easy, but believe me, it isn't. Right after the broadcast, try this. Find a room, your favorite room that you know intimately. Now, with the help of a partner or by yourself, close your eyes, turn around several times. Now, with your eyes closed, get down on the floor. You have an escape plan. Try to find your way out with your eyes closed. See how long it takes you. Now, remember, this is an imaginary fire. In a real fire, this is what you'll have to contend with. There'll be obstacles in your way. You have to know where to go. The smoke is black, it's blinding, and it's choking. But I know where the escape plan takes me, along the wall. I've rehearsed this many times. You must do the same thing. The kitchen should be just here, yes. Here it is. Linoleum floor, carpeting. This is the kitchen. The exit is just 10 feet ahead, along the side wall here. I can't see it yet. It's still too black and the heat has got me down on the floor, so crawl. There's the exit. Now I can get out. You must have that escape plan, and you must rehearse it.
So we've learned that if you're right there when a fire breaks out and you have a fire extinguisher, you've got about 30 seconds to put out the fire. If you can't, get out. And don't forget, you've got to have an escape plan because time is against you. Along with a fire extinguisher, another important tool that most people don't know about is the door. It will help keep the flames, the heat, and the smoke out. Listen to this message.
A fire breaks out on the first floor of the two-family house. Door. The woman quickly leaves to call the fire department. Door. And 2 people die upstairs, overcome by smoke. Door. A man smoking in bed starts a fire. The door. Leaves the bedroom, rushes to a phone. The door. And before the fire department gets there, the door. The rest of his house burns down. The door. Is there one single act that could have been done? Close the door. To help prevent this needless loss of life and property. Close the door. What should these people have done? Close the door. Do you know that a door is one of the best pieces of firefighting and life-saving equipment? Close the door. And if you leave a room that is on fire, close the door. If you simply close the door, it will help stop the fire and smoke from spreading too quickly. Close the door.
We hope you never experience a fire, but statistics tell us that most of us will. It is frightening, but you've learned some of the basic facts about surviving in fires. And if you plan to get out alive, you can. Others have, and you will too.
Knowing what to do saved my life. I mean, I know that now. But knowing, when I saw the people in there using every bit of energy they had to panic, every bit of energy to scream, not 1 ounce of energy was put into any thought. That's what killed some of those people.
Oh, my my sister opened the door and I could see a lot of smoke coming in, and that's how I knew that's how I was sure that there was a fire in Katie's room. And she grabbed my hand. She grabbed my hand, and I took a deep breath of what oxygen was left in my room, and I holded it until I could. I holded it as long as I could until I couldn't hold it anymore, and then I breathed the smoke, and I ran downstairs, and I shaked my brother a lot, and I almost yelled in his ear, and I said, "Chris, wake up! There's a fire in Katie's room."
The child takes the cigarette lighter, and it has a little wheel, and then it becomes a toy, and they zoom, they run it along the ground, and they see the spark, and they go boom. Then they take their little fingers and put it on the trigger, and they go boom, boom, and now they have a fire. And unlike a match, that match will go out sometimes, but this fire will not go out. And they'll go under a bed or in a closet, and then the fire will get going, and it'll be out of control, and they don't know what to do. They don't know enough to run because they're so young. And what happens, the fire gets out of control. And that combination, the most destructive force in nature, fire, and children, is a losing combination.
I took the elevator, not knowing there's a fire. Knowing the first rule, of course, is when you know there's a fire, you don't take the elevator. But I didn't know there was a fire. And when I got off on the 7th floor, the entire elevator, the door opened, and the entire elevator filled with smoke. So thick and so black that you could not see your hand in front of your face. But immediately I dropped to the floor, so my mouth and head were only about inches from the floor. And there I could see and I could breathe. And at that time I was banging on the alarm of the elevator, which I think the power was going off, but it did close, and it crept down to the 6th floor and opened partly where someone pulled me out. But the smoke was so thick you could not breathe. It is the most frightening experience you can imagine.
First, there's nothing. All of a sudden, intense heat. I didn't feel pain right away, though I guess you're in shock. I felt pain afterward. You feel intense heat. Well, there's no way to describe it. I mean, put your finger on a match, and you get a little idea, but your whole body is engulfed in this heat.
Plan to Get Out Alive is brought to you as a public service by McDonald's and First Alert, the leader in fire safety products.
I see it over and over. Stupid little kitchen fires that take out people's houses. Fires where they lose everything. Fires where not everybody got out. What I don't see why you're sitting in a house without a fire extinguisher. You got a smoke detector? Great, but you got to get a fire extinguisher too.
Smoke detectors and fire extinguishers from First Alert, a warning and a weapon.
You have a fire, what are you going to say? They cost too much? I was too busy?
Nobody plans on having a house fire, but you can plan to get out alive. And you can do it now. Install smoke detectors. It's a small price to pay for something that can save your life. Practice home fire drills with your family, with your roommates. Know 2 escape routes from every room. And remember, don't panic. If you've planned ahead, you won't get burned. Plan to get out alive. Now. We at McDonald's care about your life. So write for a free brochure at McDonald's Fire Safety, P.O. Box 11189, Chicago, Illinois 60611.
Call me unreliable. Call me unpredictable. Throw in undependable too.
Flashlight sure can be unreliable, but there's one that's ready when you need it. The First Alert Rechargeable Flashlight. Because First Alert Rechargeable means reliable.
But it's undeniably true.
First Alert. Reliable, rechargeable.